Hi everyone, it's Wendy. It's just 9 o'clock right now, and as promised and I've been promoting, I am going to do a presentation this morning. I'm going to wait for everybody to hop on here. And boy, this is kind of cool and exciting. I'm used to doing teleclasses and seminars and things like that over the phone, so to be able to see me talking is going to be one of these funny things because I use a lot of notes and scripts. So this is going to be new. Give me some patience. My little dog is sitting next to me. We're sitting in the living room here, and I want you to go grab a cup of coffee or a tea and sit back, grab a pen and a paper. I've got some good information that I will be sharing with you today. I do have a lot of content, so I'm, cross my fingers, hoping that I'm going to get through everything. I spent a bit of time working on these topics, and I think everybody's going to really enjoy them. Let's see here. Let me pull this up and get my notes going. Okay. Make sure I've got everything up and going. Okay. So we've got a couple people coming on here. If you want to say hi, go ahead. I'm like I said, I'm new to this, so I'll be practicing as well as preaching, as my friends call it, and my clients call me. I'll be preaching and teaching today. So I'm super happy to. Hey, Lori, how you doing? This is so much fun. I've watched your videos, so this is cool. You get to see mine. Today we're going to be talking about the 3 unspoken truths that are stopping you from not being paid what you're worth. And the subtitle to that is what to do to create, market, and fill highly profitable, high-end programs that reflect your real value. And I've got Lori. Hey, Lori. Nice to see you here. So I created this talk. Well, it's one that's kind of been in my back pocket for a while. I use it as a good go-to, and then because over time I turn around and update a lot of things based on what I'm seeing out in the real world. I do want to start off by just saying welcome to everybody. I really want to start with the fact that I give a heartfelt thanks to anybody and everybody who keeps showing up here today in this space and will be watching the replay. I really want to acknowledge that you being here tells me a lot about how serious you are about your successes, and that by helping more people, your business then can create and reflect the value that you have, that you're here to hold in this world. And I'm super happy to be able to bring you with my deepest intentions to honor this commitment to you by delivering you like the absolute best content. What you see is what you get with me, so I'm really excited to share as much as I can without overwhelming. I'm trying really hard to keep it simple, but I'm sure you're gonna love it. Hey Barb, how you doing? So today, before we start, I just want to make sure this is your time. I booked in an hour. I'm gonna really keep to that if I can. So if you would like, turn off your phones, just be present, and be open to expanding the way you're thinking, because right now what happens, I'm seeing so many people are pursuing transformational services, and they're wanting to up-level the quality of people's lives with their with personal accountability, health and healing, and financial responsibility. However, one of the things that's making it really difficult for us, because we have intangible services, that the current marketing is not positioned to support transformational services. And what I mean by that is that we require our clients to do the work with us. So particularly the marketing that's been established out there is more for product based. It's more based in fear and lack and all these things that we're trying to solve. So what ends up happening is I see so many brilliant healers, coaches, consultants, and practitioners struggling to make ends meet, because there's a real disconnect right now between their value, their belief systems, and how we're told to put our marketing out there. And what ends up happening is people can't connect with us because we're not finding the right language. We can't. It's very difficult to package up the things that are intangible to us and our intuitive gifts, all our skills and knowledge, and our personal experiences, and not take it personally when somebody says no. So what ends up happening for a lot of women is we slide backwards. We're like, oh my gosh, this has got to be about me. I'm not doing well. We started the self-doubt, so we go look for something else to fix our problem. And really the truth is, you are here to share your gifts. It's just that we need a whole new different model to work with. And I'm going to spend a bit of time here and show you how we can switch just a few things that's going to really impact what you're doing. I don't want you to feel that because you're spiritually rich, which everybody, if you're in this community, you have this place, this calling, but you don't need to be materially poor. So I think the thing that is I want all of us to recognize that we need to stop playing smaller. And I hear these things out there, but like, really, what does that mean? And for me, I don't want to face the criticism around what I do anymore. I don't want to hold myself back. I don't want you to hold yourself back because things aren't working as smoothly as you thought. They're not kind of rolling off the shelves like everybody out there on the six-figure online coaching and marketing business make you think. It takes work, dedication, but it also takes a couple of positioning strategies that are going to really help as we do this over the next. I'm going to share this information over the next little bit. So first thing I'm going to do right now before we get started into some of the content is I just thought I'd share a little bit about myself. Many of you know who I am, but I have a lot of new people coming into my world right now as I've been out and about marketing, and I just thought I would share who I am. My name is Wendy Burge. I have been in the holistic healing arts, I would have to say, all of my life. I was pretty much raised very holistically, very metaphysically. Metaphysics was our religion in my house. It wasn't uncommon for us to have these very interesting conversations with my mom. And I always jokingly say, I'm surprised I don't live in a tent and smell like patchouli and I'm wearing gauze skirts dancing in the desert. Somehow I kind of jumped that part, but I never thought I would see myself in the healing professions per se. I did follow along in some of it. I have a master's as an art therapist. I ended up marrying a chiropractor and ended up owning a wellness center for 16 years here in White Rock, British Columbia, Canada. I was bought out when I got divorced. However, during that time, I was coaching chiropractic teams across Canada and the United States. I was doing a lot of patient training. I was doing, I wrote some books for the industry. I was published nationally in Canada for the Canadian Chiropractic Magazine. So I am used to coaching. I have flown around North America giving presentations. So I have a real deep passion for these businesses. But what I've seen is that when we want to serve our businesses, again, there's a disconnect to how we've been told to run these businesses and how we've been told to market our businesses. And it really pushed me into this place of having to learn to do this better because I saw so many of my own practitioners struggling. They were so brilliant at what they were doing, but it's a trap. I really felt it was a trap because I see their potential not being translated in the marketing or not being translated in their communication abilities. They will talk over everybody's heads about what they're doing, and the problem with that is, and I equate this to this, and I hope you understand what I'm saying this, is that if you are in your brilliant zone, you start talking about your gifts and how the training works and NLP and XYZ, all these things, but your potential client has no idea about this. That is not where they're coming from. And it is as if we're handing freshmen, so first year university students, a 400 level textbook of information, and they cannot process it. So what ended up happening is I started doing a lot of copywriting within my clinic. I had to pick up the back end of all the marketing because, well, we were just a small family business. And I really, really liked marketing. It really related to me through relationships. And as a therapist at the time, I was like, oh, I got this. I can talk really coachy. And I was moving into coaching at the time. And what was really interesting is I was really able to capture the voice of my clients and my practitioners really well. And I loved it because I would hand their content back over and they were just floored by it. They were like, how is it that you can talk better about my work than I can? And I was like, oh my gosh, my heart would bleed for them. I'm like, you're so brilliant. What do you mean? I want you to be out there being successful. And I would apologetically, like, literally give away my services as a writer. It was bad enough I was struggling as an art therapist at times because I mean, at the time, nobody knew what that was. That was back in 1997 when I graduated and I had a practice. And about 2 years in, I was just like, I don't get it. I don't understand. This education is so great. This is so helpful. Why am I still struggling? So I was really good at making other people money, but I was still struggling even as a writer, and I was going broke. And that was a big conflict for me, especially at the time I was having strife in my marriage. And I was really, literally in a very expensive and very costly hobby. And it was costing my time. I was doing really good work, but it wasn't helping me. So as life has it, and I'm going to fast track everybody because we all have our stories, I ended up getting divorced. I didn't want to look for a job. I thought, this is going to be crazy. I've got these 2 little boys. What am I going to do? I wanted to finally commit to something. And I realized I really hadn't been looking at how I was operating. I invested in some mentoring to really understand what I was doing. And at the time, there was not a lot of business coaches. This was early, like, this is really only maybe 7, 8 years ago. And where would you have found business coaches that talk about spiritual principles? And I had a really hard time because I kept listening to all this other marketing stuff, and I was like, that doesn't work for our industry. It doesn't work. Finally, I found somebody that I was like, hey, I can take what they're doing and I can apply it to our industry. And that's a bit of a hint there. I'm going to go back to this in a second. And what I ended up doing is I sketched out a whole new system, and I adapted all my writing services and began to offer what I called copywriting for transformational services. And then all of a sudden, I started selling my intangible ability to give people their confidence back into these really great packages, and started doing marketing. And I gave myself a 30-day challenge. I was like, even though I could charge $75 as a marketer and doing copywriting and put packages together, the problem was they didn't know what to do with it. So I ended up spending a lot of time coaching people. And I thought, this is crazy. I've got to figure this differently. So I put a program together, and I gave myself 30 days to sell it. And I did a VIP day. So in 30 days, I went from charging $75 an hour to $1,000 for a day. And I thought I was going to throw up the first time I sold that package. I literally, I'm not kidding. I was so like, nobody's going to buy this. I don't even know what I'm going to have to do. I'm going to have to tap dance, swing around off of a light chandelier. Like, what am I going to do for $1,000 for the day? However, I have learned over time how valuable that was, that I had pushed myself to do it and step out there. And now that's half of what I would charge for a day now. And it's been so valuable because in the end, what I learned, it wasn't about up-leveling my fees. It was about up-leveling how I saw myself. So since then, I've continued to grow my business. Month after month, I teach my clients how to use the exact same systems and principles. I still do take clients. I love consulting, so I do strategy work still with clients. But I challenge people that are in this industry. We have to really shift how we're looking at ourselves and how we're showing up and doing the work, because as you can see, I'm incredibly passionate about what our potential is because of what's been going on. I mean, if you look at the world right now, the world needs our spiritual work. It needs deeply compassionate people like us to step in here and help women and men and families and children finally heal a lot of these wounds that are showing up that have been stepped over, stepped on, and stepped around. So it is really one of the most important skills I think you'll ever learn, is to create value, which allows you to create income on a regular basis. And you need your clients, you need to be in business, but if you don't have a system and you don't know how to implement the system to be able to just go enroll clients consistently, easily within a few days. I mean, I will literally go meet with people for coffee, not even looking for business, and people have pulled out their checkbooks and started writing and said, how can I come work with you? So it's as simple as just really becoming conscientious about how you're positioning what you do. So really quickly, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to cover what I'm going to get into at this content at this point. So get some paper out if you haven't, and we're going to take some notes. So if you are ready and you've done everything you think you're supposed to be doing and you're still not getting the clients, then I'm going to tell you today we're going to help save you some time and some money, and I'm hoping that it's going to move you into some inspired action and grant you some more confidence. And just, I want you to know you're right on time. And I'm going to touch on that in a few minutes. But the biggest key for me to make this transition was, number one, and I had kind of referenced it a bit ago, I got a mentor. I had to find somebody who understood me, understood my language, and really helped work with me, even though I was in a group format, because it was all I could afford at the time. I couldn't hire somebody privately. But it was so profound to be able to be in that position of getting feedback and finding people who understood, finding my tribe, as we say. It was really, really helpful. And then from there, finally realizing that for those of us who are here doing this work right now, we are on time. I've always wondered about that. Like I said, I get very metaphysical and esoterically with everything. And there have been key points in my life I'm like, I don't even relate to people on this planet sometimes. I don't understand. And then now I get it. Like, I get why I know the things I know. I feel like I can finally bring everything together. I was always the outsider. So if you've ever felt like that, you know, you're part of my clan, my friend. You're part of my clan, and I hear you. And it's been part of this big growth. And it's like, gosh, what was it? What am I waiting for? And now I get it. It's right now as we're transitioning. So really lean back. Let's have some fun now as we go into this. So I'm going to share with you right now what I think the number one mistakes are that both new and seasoned heart-centered people are doing that's costing them tens of thousands of dollars of lost time and income. I'm going to share with you a few of the limiting beliefs that I see that keep them stuck at really low income levels. I guarantee you're doing them because I know I was doing them. And I'm going to give you the number one reason why most heart-centered service people can't close the deal. So again, there's just no way I can cover everything in this time, but if you want more information, I will stop and I'm going to share some information on how to work with me further as we get towards the end of this conversation, and I'll circle back around then. So let's start with the first truth. I think that the number one mistake both new and seasoned heart-centered entrepreneurs make is that, and you've already heard this, it's one that we make all the time, and it costs us so much money and time, and it has to do with the fact that we're spending so much time getting ready. We are spending so much time in marketing that we aren't even showing up in our own business to work with people. And I think that one of the problems with getting ready is because we have always, these services have always been on the fringe of mainstream healing, health, personal development, finance, anything you're doing where you're actually challenging belief systems and awareness. This has never really been part of our standard way of being. So I think we feel like we have to keep justifying and finding a new way and get out there and perform like them because we see them and we must be like them. But we're spending too much time behind the scenes trying to make this happen. And the truth is, showing up in our space and showing people how we can really bring the betterment out in them through the things that we have as far as our tools, our experiences, it's really more about the packaging of it. And until we understand how to actually do the work with them, because a lot of us are still stepping and going, gosh, I don't know how I'm going to package all this together. I do readings, and I do NLP, and I do this and this and that. So we keep a la carting all of our services, which then we sit back and I find we hide out because it's like, I don't know if I'm going to ever find a niche. Who's really going to understand what I'm doing? How am I supposed to get this? And we literally build our businesses in our head, but we don't really take it to the street. So the takeaway, I think, is that this time that we keep spending getting ready is actually a detriment to us and puts us, and you've heard this before, I'm sure, and puts us into marketing analysis paralysis. But the truth is you're far more ready than you realize. You've just got to get out there and start R&Ding it, your work. And the thing is, you aren't going to be perfect each time. I sure the heck wasn't. I feel so bad for that first woman that worked with me. Oh my gosh. I literally stayed up till 3 in.the morning finishing I was like, I hadn't finished building the program until I sold it. That's a good hint there too. And so I got this whole thing all together. I was dead dog tired, but I was like, I'm showing up. I'm going to do this work. I bring this package in. I had everything, including this kitchen sink. There was no way I could have ever got through everything that I thought I was going to be able to teach. And so until you finally get out and do the work, you're not going to know what to take out of the work because you need to be R&Ding. You need to find out where your specialty really is. What you think you sell is really not what you're giving into that experience with that client. And I think that's the thing that we think we have to have it all figured out. But I'm going to go back to utilizing some of our universal divine principles. It is not for us to always know how things are going to be. We must set the plan and they have the outcome, but honestly, until we get in and do the work, we're not going to know how to guide them. And I think our ability to hold the space, hold the container, and help people come forward by calling them forward is even more valuable than it is for us to be all prepared. Because in truth, over the 10 years I've been doing this, I have found that really people, like if I had to put percentages to what people are paying when they buy coaching, I'd say 10% is actually the information we're so fixated on creating that 60% of what they're paying for is for us to stand there with them and tell them they can have this change. It is possible. Those big coaching packages you see online and you're like, oh my God, how are they charging $60,000 to be a coach? I don't get it. Or $25,000, or what are they doing? What they've done is they are so confident, they're so grounded and rooted in their ability to hold the space for people to move through transformation, that is of such high value. They know what they can offer. So I'm going to challenge you to stop making more content and get out and start actually engaging with people to see if the content is even relevant. I mean, the first thing I did, I took some time off from my business. First thing I did when I came back is, you may have seen some surveys around here. I was sitting here thinking, I'm not going to make stuff people aren't going to buy, but I know what I know I can deliver. So I picked a handful of topics that I really like working on with my clients. And you guys all gave me the feedback. I'm going to tell you here pretty soon what you had me come up with for you. So I think that if we can step back and we can just kind of dump the who am I to do this bigger work? You're here because you're here now. And the other thing is if you keep spreading yourself so thin, in marketing, we do say it is better to be an expert than a generalist. That there's no way to move out of that generalist place if you don't start stepping out and deciding and learning how to navigate in that place with people. So staying as a generalist, and I can do this, and I can serve everybody, and I can help the world. The fact is, you're not going to end up helping very many people. You are going to be losing your time, money, and you're going to lose the credibility because you'll have watered everything down. The truth is, like I said, you are here to teach something, and I do believe each one of us, and I won't get into it now because I'm going to actually do another video about this later on, is I think these businesses need to stop being structured like service businesses, and we need to start looking at our businesses more like schools of thought. And I won't go into it, but I do think that because we are challenging people's belief systems, we have got to restructure it. Is because if I was to, when I sent my son to university, it was no problem for me to enroll and get him there and invest just for a semester, or even for a full year. It was almost $10,000. I have no problem with that because I know the investment is going to help expand his awareness. How many of you are going, oh my gosh, I think I actually own a school when I say this? Because when I finally realized when I am not doing the work for my clients, I can't keep selling it like a service. And that's one of our problems, is we've been told to sell our work as a service. So the biggest shift I want you to take from this first myth is that you must understand that your gifts are of high, high value. You have showed up here right now, and that your expertise can only be fleshed out by actually getting in and doing the work. Imperfect action is what we're asking for, and that your training will allow you to really narrow in and understand what problems you solve specifically in that industry that you work in best. So, I won't do it now, but we talk about niching and marketing and your ideal clients and what that is, but I just want you to step back, take a breath, because that just gets so overwhelming. The truth is, and I'm going to save you hours and hours and hours, if you were to sit back and actually look at all the clients that you've worked with, all the people that you've loved working with, there's a really good chance you all share one common denominator. And that's going to be either the wound you're working through, the value systems that you're having to challenge and up level, and the way you operate, and or the experience you're wanting to now create. So your ideal client is really probably only 5 degrees off of who you are as a person anyway. So trying to market to everybody else, especially if you're in this industry, I have seen this over and over again. I've even challenged this. I wish there was a way I could put metrics to it. I'm sure I could figure it out. However, after 10 years of doing this, every one of my clients is teaching something that they've mastered because it was the lesson they had to learn. Okay? Your mastery is what you're here to now teach. Understand your clients are going to be part of that soul collective. Okay? So once you've claimed that voice of expertise, you cannot go back to saying, I'm just a massage therapist, I'm a light healer, I'm a Reiki master. Those are the tools that you're using, but what I'm going to challenge you to look at is, what is it that you're solving? What is the closest challenge that you've had to work through? I can tell you right now, mine was self-worth and my value. I was totally invisible in my family, although it's funny because I'm here doing this work, and it's the thing that's pushed me out, because I realized I had to find other ways to get the acknowledgement that I wasn't getting in my own family. And it's been my tripping stone every single time I go to do stuff. And I'm really transparent about this. I see this happen with a number of my clients. We're so good at what we do, but we have just this place, it just keeps us stuck. So let's build this bridge to move us through that gap. And that's what I've been able to do through writing and speaking. But as an expert now, it's much easier for me to position my services because I understand the challenges and that pain point that my own clients are struggling with, even to the degree that it may not be specifically that, but it looks like that, but it feels the same, if that makes sense. So the takeaway here that I want you to have, and I want you to spend a little bit of time thinking about, is I want you to put together all the things, like literally just brain dump all the things you've done in your life and in your career and your schooling, what problems you've actually been able to move through in your life, the challenges. I mean, people probably say to you, you're inspiring, you're so strong as a woman, you are so ... Don't take that lightly. That is your gift. That is the thing that people are actually buying from you. And this whole thing about the whole world, serving the whole world, I don't think that's how it works. I think we have to become more selective of how we can work with people, because it will ripple out. As we work with them, they too will then become healthier, and they will bring people in and refer. So once you realize that your ideal clients, number one, are much more like you than you think. Number two is that they're probably walking a similar journey. So look at that. That's a really key indicator to look at that, because it makes it a lot easier. I mean, I've been in all kinds of marketing groups where they make us focus on all this other stuff. And I'm like, I work with people. That other stuff doesn't, all those demographics and all those other things, they don't matter to me. I work with the heart of people, and I know what problems are. And it can be a little scary shining your light into some of these stories, but you have overcome things that you're here to teach. I am guaranteed. I mean, if you're sitting here listening to me, I know it. It's scary, but it's your time. It's everybody else has a time, it's our time. So we understand how to move people through this. And I have learned quickly that I have to watch how I'm speaking with people, because I can now assess how far I can take people into a conversation, and to the point where it tips on good advice or it needs to be a paid session. Okay? So if you keep giving away for free and you're wondering why, that's a hint that this is something that people they will value if you package it properly. Okay, so let's do the second truth now. The other reason why I really think this is an untold truth, and that keeps most of us really stuck at really low levels of income, which one falls directly in the lap, because I think it really does fall into our mindset around money, time, and value, is if you make a lot more money, I'll no longer be a spiritual person, or I'll have to give up some of my gifts because I'm going to have to hustle. I can't charge this much for these gifts. Again, I touched on this earlier. It's because we've always been on the fringe. I mean, I knew people who were doing energy work, and there was a woman who used to come to my home, was one of my mom's good friends. We used to call her Crazy Beth. I was like, I don't even know how you're surviving on this planet. And yet at the same time, she was dead dog broke, and she was brilliant. She was a brilliant healer. So I want to challenge some things about money here in this space. Mind you, I'm going to put a disclaimer here. I'm not a financial planner. I'm not talking about how to save money, invest money, anything like that. But what I'm talking about here is that money actually makes you more of who you are. It doesn't change you. So if you still are having struggles with your money stories, there are some good money coaches even on this call right now. If you want to check into the group and ask, they will help you. My point here is that money doesn't change you. It only amplifies what's in you. So the more money you're able to charge, it allows you to actually step up. It really almost shifts you on a DNA level. There's an embodiment that we take on when we are able to charge higher rates, because I really think it's about your character. If you were a generous person when you were broke, you're going to even be more generous and philanthropic if you continue to have wealth. It's going to allow you to invest more money back into your business, have a greater impact. And on the flip side of that, I mean, and I struggled with this a lot too, because I knew women in my world who had been very successful, but they were bitches. And I was like, I don't want to be like that. If making money means I have to be nasty and put people out on the side and act like a queen in a negative context, I don't want to be like that. And so the truth is that if you're already like that as your character before you had money, you're just going to be a bigger jerk when you have more, and you're going to have power trips. So that was where I got stuck for a long time. I was like, I'd rather just not do that. And it's taken a while for me to finally settle in and understand that money had nothing to do. That has to do with my character. That is not who I'm going to be, and I will never become that, because that's just not how I work. And so money actually is one of these conversations that is really a healing conversation for a lot of people, because almost every industry that's showing up here, I can see who's popped in, all of us have to have this money conversation. And up-leveling your value can be tricky, and it's really unlike a lot of things that we ever have to deal with. And in this industry, we just can't fake it till we make it. You can tell the energetic disconnect when somebody's charging a lot of money, but yet they don't believe in themselves. And you're just like, nah, I don't think so. I'm not putting my money into that. Because what I know is that we feel if they're going to be able to hold the space for us. So I know that you know your work, you know your work, you know how to hold people in a container of moving them through the possibility of change. So charging for that innate gift and talent can sometimes be initially a disconnect between our hearts and our minds, but the issue is it isn't. And I want to propose a new place. So I'm going to throw another new concept out here, a new idea that I have sat with for a long time, is that if you're in this group right now, and if you're in the Marketing Mystique and you are aligning with what I'm saying, then I'm going to invite you in and I'm going to pull my magic wand out and tap you on the shoulder and say, you're part of the 3% club. And I started saying this to my clients a handful of years ago, that this 3% club is a bit of a secret club. And what I'm talking about is that those of us that are doing this work in the healing arts, we kind of made this arrangement with our soul anyway. Like prior to coming here, every experience we have that we were challenged with, we overcame. We didn't get taken out by it. In fact, we got stronger from it. That we found our way through our healing, through our studying, through our caring, through meditation, through movement, through a greater understanding of our purpose. And I'm going to tell you right now, as a practicing therapist, as an art therapist, as a coach, you know it too. We are so at the top of this part of the food chain of that understanding of consciousness that we cannot sit back and go, well, they already know this stuff, because they don't know this stuff. If they did, they would already be doing it. There's a coaching statement that says, if how-to was so easy, everybody be skinny, rich, and happy. And it has nothing to do with how-to. There's so much how-to out there. What it is people, I think it's a certain kind of person who has the capacity and who has signed up for this, to do this work. And I think you're one of them. And if that's the case, you must own this, because the thing that is the easiest for you to do should be the most value and the highest price point that you offer, because it's not easy. We learn to care for ourselves, and in that capacity we now have this amazing compassion to care for others. That is not something that's teachable in a textbook. It's not something that you're going to learn in university. This is truly where I think the rubber meets the road when we talk about life experience. So please don't discount your life and your value that way and say, because I didn't go to school like that, I can't charge like this. And then turn around and say, I need to have more training and go buy more modalities and more this and more that, just to show that you can do it. Because I'm telling you, I've been doing this work a long time. You're right on time. You came at this point to help heal with what's going on. And I don't want you to step away and think that you have to give it away for free. Because this awareness is not for everybody. And we are leaders, and you are a leader. So I think that we have this ability to transmute this experience for the greater good. And we just need to put some structure around it and have a new awareness of how we're working in our businesses. So fair enough. I want everybody to up level the way we see ourselves. So if you're still saying I can't charge this much for my gifts, I really want you to challenge a couple things. Look at your value, look at your mindset. What is it that you're telling yourself? And then the second thing is around your boundaries. Remember that your boundaries are how you're going to have to tighten things up, because in order to be that person who is charging that much, that means you're going to have to up level how you're doing things. You're going to actually have to make yourself the priority and tell other people, I can't help you now, I need to help myself. The second thing about this conversation around money, and I'm going to touch on this now, is that there is a huge belief that sales is manipulation. And God help us, it's even worse now, I think, because we're see everybody all online, and you can do all these funnels, and you can do all this, and we're trying to, I was just reading about something called a tripwire funnel. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, can't we just have a conversation? And I think that we've gone almost too far, because most of us need to actually have a proper sales conversation. in the sense that we're not talking about channeling your inner car salesman. I'm talking about having a sacred healing conversation around calling somebody forward in the evolution of that person. Okay, I'm going to say that again. That sales conversations originally had been a sacred conversation because it was meant when the guide, healer, sage, somebody came to them, they offered the opportunity to pull somebody forward to a new evolution and a greater experience of that person. So if you learn this well and it's done well, you are really connecting to the growth of somebody else versus I'm going to sell you something you may or may not need. Because the truth is, and I will never sell somebody something that they don't need, and I will never sell somebody something I have not already done myself and proven in my own business. I just can't do that. That's not how I do things. But what I can do is I will connect with you, the person, and say, where are you getting stuck? Precisely tell me what this is. What have you done? How are you moving forward? Why do you think you're not getting this? So I think our job in sales, if we switch this conversation to be a little bit more coachy without coaching, but make it more curious, then we can connect to that other person really well. You can really hear the depth of their pain. You can hear the struggle, and you already have the tools to help move them out. The thing is, I want you to stop before you start coaching. You need to make them hungry to actually want to step further and do the work with you. And that's another issue that happens, is that when we're doing this other way of selling, we're putting all the onus on us to deliver the outcome. Okay, and I took a big pause there for a reason. The success of your clients is not something you can guarantee because they have to show up and want to do that work. And I think some of this marketing is making us believe we have to drag everybody through our funnels, when the truth is I don't want to work with everybody. I only want to work with people who are ready to do the work. I can't guarantee your success. What I can guarantee, though, is I will be here for you. I'm going to teach you the best damn stuff I know that I've learned. You're going to get me 100%, probably 150%, because I will go to the mat for my clients. I have really good boundaries around my business and my life now. And the fact is that these conversations can actually transform people's lives. And by the time somebody is going, I want that, the investment to come work with you, remember, because we're going to start switching some of our language, because we remember we are like schools of thought. The investment to transition and evolve is almost like it's almost a non-conversation. Now it comes into, where can I find the money? Not, is this where I want to spend my money? So the shift is two things here. You must understand your value first, and then understand how you can help people, and then bring them into this conversation that becomes a sacred way of really connecting with them. You will know, as I know, I can sit down and have a conversation and I can tell if somebody is a seeker or not. I can tell if that's what they want or not. And that doesn't mean you can't work with them, but what I'm going to recommend is that there's going to be a place where you can start developing some of your concepts into what we know as the passive revenue streams. So maybe the books, the really simple little courses where your time is not there, and save your time for your higher end programs. Save your time for packaging and holding that container to really do the work, either one-on-one or in small group format. It doesn't mean you're not supposed to help them, but I think we have to seed people and give them time to germinate with some of the ideas. So we need to build our high-end our top programs first, so that we're making money. And then as you do this, you're going to start seeing the symptoms of some of the problems you work with. That's where you start building your lower revenue streams of programs and packages and things like that that you can sell on your website. But it's really about understanding this conversation of meeting people where they're at, understanding if they're ready to do the work or if they're not ready to do the work. And unapologetic, I'm not apologetic about if I don't want to work with somebody. I just know that they're not ready, and I'm not going to put the time into this until they are. I will show up. I need them to show up. This is a collaborative experience. Okay, so let me just go through my notes. I'm trying to be really mindful of time. Yes. We've already talked about that because I'm just a talker. So let's put this into some context now, what I was just finishing off saying. is when you then start packaging and having these conversations, the reason you can up level your fees is because now they're getting the very best of your expertise and they're having access to you, the expert. And if you were to think about it, even if you're just going to a hairdresser, that they even have classifications of how qualified somebody is to even cut hair, and their fees change as you start working with the more seasoned and professional hairdresser than if you were to just get the person right out of school. So I have always structured my business on what I call the access method. So people can come in at different levels, but they'll have different levels of access to me. And I actually wrote back, if you go back on Tuesday of this week into the Marketing Mystique for one of our automation challenges, I actually wrote out how I use this access method in setting up even email structures in my business so that I can clarify and contain who gets access to me and where I get to keep my focus. So you're not just an expert with a service, you have a lot of value to bring. So now I'm looking at the clock. I can't believe we've already blown through 40 minutes. Amazing. I'm going to take a step back for a second, and I'm just going to reframe some things. I took some time out from my work. I needed to finish closing off in some loops in my life. And I finally just stepped back in, and I thought, I'm not going to do this without asking my clients. I have an established following. I hadn't been keeping up with everybody truly, but I heard what you were asking for. And two things that came back. Mastermind, Wendy. We loved the mastermind. We want to have a mastermind. That collective collaboration is so valuable because it's so isolating working by ourselves. I really, really want to have that connection. I don't want to be in some gigantic coaching group and be a number or in a faceless person. The second piece was I need more training. I need some more tools. I need to understand how to do this. I want to create my business so it's skinny and I know what to do and I can lay out some really simple marketing and I can make the money and go have the conversations I need. So what I've done is I have taken the best of these two things. I've created what's called the Soul and Strategy Mastermind Group. It's going to start on January 5th and it's going to run for 10 weeks through the summer. I consider the fact that summer's coming and a lot of us are traveling, but at the same time, how can we start a mastermind? So I'm going to propose we do this through Zoom. I'm going to put groups of 4 women together and I will help lead these masterminds. It'll run all the way through to the second week of September. We're talking you, 3 other women, a boatload of training, and then we're going to have a private Facebook group so we can actually work together as a collective, because I suspect I'm going to end up putting together more than one group just because it's such a great value that I'm going to share here. You're going to have recordings for the Zoom groups that we have, and it's only for your group. Not everybody else will have that. I'm also going to have I just finished putting my whole Clients and Cash Flow Infusion program, which I teach everything. It's a massive program. And it's 7 modules. And I have sold this individual and I've picked it apart. But what I'm going to do is I had people say to me, I'd like to learn this process from beginning to end. And was that something you could train us and teach us about in a mastermind setup? So that's what I'm doing. You're going to also get this whole program. It's all in Thinkific. It's all uploaded and ready to go. And we'll just do a module a week. There will be there'll be 2 breaks during the 10 weeks, but so we can catch up and do catch-up breaks so we can implement some of the stuff we're doing. But you're going to learn how to really tap into that core value of who you are. I'm going to really get you to break that down so you can communicate that value really well. I'm going to have you craft, if you don't have your first signature program already, that's how you do your work, that's what you do, we will get you set with one. If you already have one, I'm going to push you through to really start breaking it down and understand what that value is so you know how to position it in your marketing. I'm going to teach you how to attract your ideal clients, what that actually means to you based on this idea that these are part of your clan, your soul work. And then I want to show you how to take this process and leverage it into a couple of multiple profit streams. Then from there, I'm going to teach you how to market it. Like, go out. I want all of you to reposition yourselves, have your own Facebook groups. I'm going to show you how to do this because I think we need to be out there having a greater impact now. And this is our clan, so we can go help your clan. And the Clients and Cash Flow Infusion week excuse me, is a 7-week, and it was built as a boot camp, but I'm going to record the audios for it because I don't like the quality. So that's why I'm going to drip feed it through the summer, because you're going to be getting the best of the newer version. And here's the kicker here. This is a pilot project. I haven't offered this to anybody. I'm only going to send this out to the Marketing Mystique, to that list, and my own private clients. You'll be hearing from me soon. This isn't another cookie cutter program. I really want to go in and coach people, but I want to make it a really high value, high touch, and high tech, because we need to be getting online a little better. And I've been investing in some awesome learning I want to share with people about this. And you can finally get that voice of your message out there. So if you will go to my website, www.radiantedgeconsult.com/clients-cashflow-infusion. I'll say that again, www.radiantedgeconsult.com/clients-cashflow-infusion. I will put it in the comment box here in a bit. You will see the listing in it, and it's going to say discover more, and it's actually going to take you to the Thinkific page. You can see everything that's in the program from the Clients and Cash Flow Infusion. But then come back to that page, and I just posted this morning. I literally got up at 5:30 this morning, finished tweaking it, and nobody else has seen it. But I put on there this pilot program, this 10-week pilot program for a mastermind and training program with me in these small groups. So let me tell you about the pricing, and I'm really happy to do this. The small group soul and strategy coaching sessions, I repositioned on my site since I've come back to work as $1,800. Those were for 2 live days only with me in a small group, because I keep getting groups of women wanting to work together and start their own mastermind. I thought, that's great, except for you're going to need some more support. So that's $1,800. That's what that is. The Clients and Cash Flow Infusion program on its own is $997, and that is, and I'm going to be totally dead honest, that is exactly what I paid my coaches 10 years ago to learn this. So I kept the price the same, because for me that was a huge stretch when I started out. So if I was to put these two together, we're talking almost $2,800. But because this is a pilot, and I really want a couple of things from the people who are in it, and I'll talk to you about it when you apply. But all in, I'm just going to charge the $1,800. It's just an investment of $1,800, and I'm going to give you the Clients and Cash Flow Infusion program, that $1,000 program. I will give it to you because I want to finish updating some content. I want you in it. I want your feedback. I want you to be successful. And I'm not going to put this on the website, but I do have a full pay bonus that I'm going to put together. So if you say, yeah, I want to do this, $1,800, okay, I know I can put that on a card, or I've got that sitting in my savings or my business account. If you pay in full, I am finally going to step out of the box a little bit more, and I'm putting together a training program. You'll have access to it on how to tap into your spiritual business advisors. And I don't share this a lot, but I'm very intuitive, empathic, and I channel my guides, and I can do all kinds of, automatic writing and stuff like that. I literally use that to help direct my business. And this is the first time I've ever told anybody I do this, unless you're my private clients, and I teach you how to do some of this. So my private clients have been saying, Wendy, you need to package this and show us how you do this. This is amazing. We're all sitting here in our intuitive gifts. Please show us how you use these energetic tools to align with your higher self, your purpose, and you have business guides. You literally have a business core panel, because if you're being called to do this work now, I'm guarantee you have this entrepreneurship built into your operational system when you came to be in this body. So I will teach you how to use these tools, and I'll do that for the people who pay in full, because I have to put all this together. I would say that's probably about a $395 value if I was to. I will put this together and start selling it, but again, I have never done that, so I'm going to make that as a bonus because I want to be pushed myself to do that. All the details are there. I'm not a big pitch person. If you feel that this is something you're ready for, you want to get into a group, you want to come work together, then please, please, please go to the radiantedgeconsulting.com page /clients-cashflow-infusion. Go to the bottom, it'll say apply here, or I can't remember what I wrote on the button. I think it says apply here. It's just going to take you to fill out my discovery session page. In there, just put in pilot project. I'll know what you're looking at. and it will take you through to schedule a time for you and I to talk. I'm going to hand pick and put people together. My list is so, and my following is so that I can at this point. I'm not so out there that people will just be filtered into groups and you won't know each other. I want to make sure everybody's compatible. And then you're going to start getting some access to the pre-training for the Clients and Cash Flow Infusion. I'll start releasing some of it now, probably the last week of June, just before we get started. So any questions, email me, wendy@radiantedgeconsulting.com, and I will follow up with you. Fill the application out. I really hope you want to join me on this experience. I think it's a really nice blend, and the reason this is important to me is because I spent 5 years in a mastermind with the same 3 women. There was 4 of us. We met for every month for 5 years when I first started. It was the most valuable and enriching experience I've ever had. I've never been good at being connected with women. I know that sounds so funny because I teach women. However, I had to learn because I lived in my masculine energy a lot. And having this place to finally feel comfortable in a community, a gathering of women, I learned to trust women again. I learned to trust myself. I learned to take feedback and receive that from them because I knew they loved it, and we adored each other. We are such good friends. Even though we disbanded about 2 years ago, or a year and a half ago, we regularly, at least 3 times a year now, every quarter, at least we get together for lunch. I have lunch with them next week. We become lifelong friends, and I want that for you too. So please, please, please consider it, because it's my gift to you to have that experience. So I'm going to transition out because now I'm looking at time. Got 10 minutes. I'm going to really keep to my deal here. And if you have questions, I will stick around afterwards. So let's finish demystifying all of this. So the number one reason I think that most heart-centered service professionals can't close the deal. So I put a lot of time looking at this problem. It's the fact that most coaches and practitioners are taught to enroll clients with our free sessions, which actually creates a really interesting dynamic. So let's backtrack up for a second. In marketing, that strategy is actually called pink spooning. So pink spoon, if you remember how Baskin-Robbins is, you can go into Baskin-Robbins, you can sample the ice cream. That's great if I was a product, but I'm not a product, I'm a service, and I am not a service fully. Remember, we were talking about shifting that awareness into being more of a school. So when you're pink spooning a client experience by giving them a freebie, saying, oh, they need to experience this with me, what happens is the dynamic changes about their role in engaging in that process with you. So you're giving your gifts away for them, thinking it's actually going to show them the value. All you're going to do is give them a sampling taste of what you can do, and they're going to go, oh my God, because if you're as brilliant as I know you are as a healer, coach, and consultant and practitioner, they're going to get results just by having a bloody conversation with you. So showing up in a space with you for, which never is it ever a half an hour. It always ends up blowing into an hour to 90 minutes. So if you're laughing and smiling, you're not alone. It happens to all of us because we love helping people. But in that process of giving that information away to them, we have actually done ourselves a disservice, because there is no way they're going to find that value back again. They're going to say, well, I got so much value from you from that 90 minutes. Why do I need your services now? You healed me. And you're just like, oh my God, no, that was the scratch of the surface. What are you talking about? We keep undermining what we're doing. We can't do that. We're not ice cream. We may be delicious and sweet, but we are not ice cream. We are here to make people move through a process that's deep and painful, and we can't, honestly, no good practitioner would ever go that deep anyway during that process. And if you are, okay, that conversation is actually about boundaries with you and your business, not about the client. That's a whole nother, well, we can talk later after. If you experience that, email me. We need to have a conversation. But instead, remember what I was saying earlier, that we must really work better to qualify people to work with us. So our experience, the very first thing we need to be offering people is that conversation. Not a coaching session, not a massage session, not a Reiki session. We must take action by making sure we are qualifying the people who are ready to do the work, because number one, we work so closely with people. We want to make sure they're in alignment with what we're doing. Number two is, if you keep giving this away, you're watering down your expertise. And remember, a generalist serves nobody. An expert can really do the work. And experts have waiting lists. Experts charge a lot of money. Experts get asked to speak at conferences. Experts have their books and are highly regarded in their community. So the more you actually start honing in and saying no to some of these people, it's actually going to elevate your visibility. So here's what I'm going to give you right now. I want you to listen to this scripting that I use when I first meet people to qualify if they're going to. And this is pre-qualifying before getting them to a discovery session. I'm not going to put the time into something that I know they're not going to be ready to be invested in. So this is the language I use. Let's say I've met somebody, I'm out at a networking event, so I'll ask them, so what exactly is not working in your business? You know, or you can, if you're in health, finances, relationship, whatever your service, what exactly is not working in your ... Well, you just opened a can of worms. Your job is to actively listen for a few key things. So they're going to bitch and gripe and tell you all the stuff that's going on that's not working. They may go into story. Be gracious, stand there, and then stop it and say, oh, so what specifically would you like instead? Get them out of story. This is our coaching skills at its best. Switch it back around, and then ask them to give you and give the ideal of their outcome or the issue they're struggling with. What would you like instead? This will tell you right off the bat at what level they're willing to invest and play at. If they say something to the fact that I want to, we'll go with weight loss because that's a simple one sometimes to assess. I want to change the way I'm feeling. I just, I've been eating too much junk food, and, I want to fit in my skinny jeans before my high school reunion. Great. There's 100 other places they could go to do that. But if somebody says, and there are people out there that will say that, there are women who are coming to their awareness and said, I realize that I keep this weight on because it pads my emotions. I realize I'm eating my feelings. That's the person who's curious, who's interested, who needs the guidance and leadership. I see Paige. Okay, I will go in and make sure Radiant. Oh, you spelled Radiant with an E-N. So it's Radiant, edgeconsulting.com. Sorry, everybody. I'm just reading notes here. And then the rest of it's accurate. So sorry about that. So what specifically instead? Listen. Our job is to actively listen to people. We're in the people business. The next question, it's brilliant. So precisely what would you need to help you create that outcome? And they're going to tell you. You will be able to say, yeah, I can help them. No, I can't help them. Well, what do you need? I need a quick fix to lose this weight because, I got this black dress I want to fit in. Yeah, go to the GNC. I've got some pills, I'm sure. That sounds like that's the place you need to be. Please, I'm very heart-centered, but I'm also realistic. That person is not interested in hearing about how their soul journey woke up and how the emotions are attaching themselves and they're eating themselves and how they can lose weight by shifting they're not going to be there. So let's meet people where they're at and stop doing ourselves a lot of disservice. Awesome, Paige, it's perfect. So she's saying it works now. So I want you to literally get into listening. So what exactly is not working in your ... You insert whatever it is that you do that they're talking about. What specifically would you like instead? And then ask them, hear and listen if they're going to give you an outcome or an issue that they're struggling with and how they want to see it different, because that tells you they're actually thinking about this already. And the third question then is, well, what precisely would you need to help you create that outcome? And if they're interested, they're going to say, I really need some support. I need some guidance. I need some new information. I want some help. So that is what I tell you has helped me kind of cut the weeds out and get to the flowers. And that conversation will help you move it forward, because here's the bonus to that. So again, these conversations happen everywhere for me. I'll be in grocery stores, people will talk to me. It's because it's almost as if the light gets turned on and they're like moths to a flame. They find me as they find you. So what ends up happening is this is not an appropriate place. I honor people when I work with them. I respect that people will share very deep stories about their lives. And I'm not going to listen to this in the middle of a networking event for the Chamber of Commerce, let alone the middle of the grocery store as I'm checking out. So what I tell people all the time is you know what, it sounds to me like we could have this conversation a little bit more in depth. From what you're saying, I'd like to hear more from you. But because I have such a high commitment to people and helping people, would it be okay if we book this on a call so I can speak with you and I can really listen to the depth of what you're asking for? Because here's the thing, even if I can't help you, I know I have resources that will put you on the right path so you can take that next step. Does that sound like something we could do? Could we book a time together to talk? That is the best way of honoring people, because you actually showed the boundaries around how you work, you respect the process, and you've now respected yourself, and they will show up. They almost always show up because you've set that. And they say, great, what's the best time? Pull out your business card, you write it down for them, hand it to them. Here's what time we'll be calling. I will put it in my book. I call them. And I call them on the dot. And as anybody knows me, and I see who's still left on this call, ask me to show up on an appointment at 2 o'clock, I'll be there at 2:10. Ask me to call you at 2 o'clock, I will call you at 2 o'clock on the phone. It's just one of those things. That's why, and I like the phone because the phone takes away all this other stuff that people get distracted with, and we can go into quiet space, and I can really hear people when I'm on the phone with them, or even in Zoom or Skype. Just looking at them with the video. But sometimes I just find I almost don't want to see people's faces. I'm really tapping into what my intuitive self is saying, and I don't want to make weird faces like, ooh, like when my guides are giving me this, they're like, oh, this person. So I think that if you like using the phone, it's a real savior, because I always have a script then how to move people through that conversation to get them to yes. So a final point I want to share here, because again, we're just at the top of the hour, is how to eliminate these last two statements that everybody hears. I can't afford it, and I don't have the time. So here's one of the easiest ways that you can address this without really having to say a word. So when you go to propose your program, before you even take it out to clients, I want you to sit down and put into place all the objections that people will give you why they can't take this program. So an objection would be the things that are going to keep them stuck. They're afraid. When I help people build their signature programs, on the back side of that, I ask you to list out the cost of staying stuck. Somewhere in that list that my clients do, and even I did this even for this program, I will list out all the objections. I want to be able to help people move because I know I can help them. You know you can help them, but you want to make sure you're moving them through the conversation that they themselves are going to take themselves out of. You actually answer their objections in your offer. You make it so juicy because you've already said, and I even did this on the page, number one, understand that learning new content is overwhelming. Learning it by yourself and keeping accountable is even harder, especially when you really seriously have to shift and re-engineer some stuff. Where do you get the feedback? Where do you get the support? If you're like most of us, it's not like we have a bunch of people in our family that are business entrepreneurs, so they're not helpful a lot of times, and they don't understand. And this is your up-leveling. That's their up-leveling. If you can answer their objections ahead of time and show them that really you've already addressed it, you take it out. I mean, one of my favorite things to do on any of the websites that I help my clients build is we create FAQ pages. So frequently asked questions. Frequently asked questions are the objections people usually ask me about my business. They're going to be the questions that they ask you about your business. So when you're brainstorming your offers, also brainstorm the objections that you're going to run into that a person might say, so that you can prepare yourself on how to answer them and actually bring the conversation back around to the reason they're not like, what is keeping them stuck? What is that? And again, the two biggest ones is most people have is money and time. I'm going to tell you right now, after all these years, it's never about the money. It's about the guarantee that they're going to actually have success, and they're terrified of what that could actually mean. So, and that's a true statement. After all this time, money is very rarely about money. There are people who definitely have money issues. However, for the most part, it's really about the successes. Bye, Shannon. See you later. Thanks for coming. You can hear the end for the replay. So, as we're kind of wrapping up here, I'm hoping that this last hour has been really helpful. So we went through and we looked at, taking ourselves out and hiding, that we have to get out of this inertia and really step forward and practice our work. It requires practice. We can't sit behind it and keep building our businesses in our head. We really do need people to help us engage and really basically R&D our work so we can really refine it. Second thing is looking at how we're showing up, looking at the conversations we're having and the structure of what we're doing when we give our offers out. And the last one, again, is having a conversation so we're pre-qualifying people better. So before we wrap up here, I want to leave you with a quote. There's a Chinese proverb that says, when someone shares something of value and you benefit from it, you have a moral obligation to share it with others. And I do truly believe that's kind of the way our businesses are going. But I want to remind you, it did not say, and don't charge for it. The value of you being you, especially in this work, is so essential that I want to reinforce that even if, and I say this to even if you can't stand on your own quite yet and believe it, let me believe it for you till you get there. So with that being said, I really appreciate everybody being here. I hope that some of you will join me over the summer in the mastermind. I'd love to work with you if that's the place you want to go. I'll put the link here into the comment box. If anybody has any questions, I will stick around for just a couple of minutes. If not, and people have to hop off, I totally understand. I did good. 7 minutes over. I'm super proud. If not, I really wish everybody an awesome day. I don't see any comments coming up. Feel free to email me at wendy@radiantedgeconsulting.com, and have a radiant day. Blessings to everybody. Thanks, everyone. Bye.